Ukrainian forces made little progress on the front lines, as they continued their search for a battlefield breakthrough that would define Russia's position before the onset of winter weather that would likely force a halt to mechanized operations. Fierce fighting has erupted between Russian troops and Ukrainian units crossing the Dnipro River to the Russian-occupied eastern bank of the river in the southern region of Kherson. Fighting was concentrated around a number of villages on the east or left bank of the river, where Ukraine had managed to build several fortifications. But Russian troops are now reportedly pounding these positions. Ukraine also claims to have achieved significant progress through a series of offensives on the Russian-occupied eastern bank of the Dnipro River. The country's Marine Corps said in a statement published on social media on Friday that it had gained a foothold on several bridges of Dnipro, near the main city of Kherson in the south. Special Operations Center A fighters of the Ukrainian Security Service destroyed or damaged 6 Russian invader tanks with a barrage of ammunition. The press service of the Security Service of Ukraine announced this on its page on the social network Facebook, publishing the relevant video edited from footage taken both by the drone itself and by a controlled unmanned aerial vehicle. In addition to the tanks, 5 armored fighting vehicles, a truck, and a 152mm self-propelled artillery installation, Hyacinth S, were also distributed. By the way, the self-propelled gun was destroyed by several professional barrage ammunition. Meanwhile, if I'm not mistaken, the enemy's other equipment is an ordinary cheap FPV kamikaze drone. Another video also shows that fighters of the company of the Unmanned Attack Aircraft Complex Achilles of the 92nd Separate Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed 6 units of military equipment of the Russian invaders in the Bakhmut direction. Includes 2 Grad rocket launchers, 1 T-72B3 tank, 1 Ural truck, 1 UAZ truck, and the MT-12 Rapora 100mm anti-tank gun. Interestingly, this was not reported by company commander Yuri Fedorenko, which he usually does on his Telegram channel, but by the Telegram channel of the publication censor, Net, which published the related video. The clip was edited from footage taken with a kamikaze drone and by controlling an unmanned aerial vehicle. Rival armies have been entrenched on opposite sides of the Dnipro since Russia withdrew from the western part of the Kherson region last November, in an embarrassing setback for the Kremlin. This was the last major territorial shift in the conflict, and both sides failed to make progress despite numerous attacks. The Russian Defense Ministry later appeared to reject Kyiv's claims of the breakthrough. The enemy is on the right-west bank of the Dnipro River, the ministry said in a statement, adding that it had thwarted a Ukrainian attempt to land on unspecified islands. The Asgard Assault Group of the Ochi unit of the 120th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed a self-propelled artillery installation, a 122mm Taud howitzer D-30, a truck Ural, and a UAZ of the Russian invaders. This was reported by the Telegram channel Asgard_FPU Force, which published a related video edited from footage taken, including by a kamikaze drone, which actually destroyed the equipment. The Asgard fighter operates in cooperation with the 15th Separate Air Reconnaissance Brigade and the 24th and 28th Separate Mechanized Brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Ukraine's summer counteroffensive, which Kyiv said was planned as a spring operation, but was postponed due to the slow arrival of key Western military equipment, was territorially disappointing. Hopes of repeating the success in the fall of 2022 around Kharkiv appear to have been dashed, as the prospects of reaching the coastline of the Sea of Azov and the approaches to Crimea are now increasingly remote. Kyiv has achieved significant success even as its units struggle to break through in Zaporizhia and Donetsk. Ukrainian troops have crossed the Dnipro River outside Kherson and have repeatedly launched attacks on occupied Crimea. Most of Russia's Black Sea Fleet was reportedly forced to leave the peninsula. In its report yesterday, the Wall Street Journal said that Ukrainian Marines were strengthening positions in 3 villages on the east bank of the Dnipro River. These positions are said to include several Humvees as well as at least 1 infantry fighting vehicle. This was reportedly effectively used to cut off one road used by Russian forces to supply their troops in the area. On the front lines, Ukraine has eroded a significant amount of Russia's artillery and logistics capabilities in the country's occupied south. Officials in Kyiv have repeatedly stressed that the counteroffensive is not only focused on territorial gains, but also on reducing Russia's ability to fight. Ukrainian forces hope to further punish Russia's logistics network during the winter months, using Western cruise missiles and some version of the long-awaited MGM-140 Army tactical missile system, known as ATACMS, which is now in use on the front lines. Russia's battered military still seems to believe that it too can make significant gains. Russian forces have carried out offensives in recent months in the northeastern Luhansk-Kharkiv region and the eastern Donetsk region, most recently launching a major offensive effort around the fortress city of Avdiivka in Ukraine. Ukraine has had to contend with these attacks and another Russian winter bombardment, with Moscow thought to have stockpiled hundreds of missiles and an unknown number of drones, some of them Iranian-made Shade systems, to again attack infrastructure targets across the country. On the same day, Russia's defense ministry said its troops fighting further east on the southern Donetsk front had taken a more advantageous position, language previously used by Russia when announcing withdrawals. However, the ministry did not provide further details. Away from the front lines, Ukraine is bracing for increased Russian airstrikes across the country as winter approaches. Zelensky warned late Thursday that Moscow might stockpile missiles to attack energy facilities in the coming months.